For more, we have with us today Professor Kim Hyun-wook from the Korea National Diplomatic Academy. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much.
So Trump has confirmed the dates of the second summit with Kim Jong-un, and that's going to be 27th and the 28th of February in Vietnam, although the city hasn't yet been confirmed. Let's start with the fact that he announced this confirmation of the dates during the State of the Union address. So what do you make of the fact that he chose this occasion to make this announcement? And what do you make of the State of the Union overall?
Well, I think, anyhow, he came up with a State of the Union address because of the shutdown issues and tug of war with Democrats. He almost, had no chance to have, a speech about the the State of the Union address. But anyway, I think some of the important points about the speech was that he emphasized economic situations and also, some of the foreign policy issues and also shutdown issues. He made it sure that he will build a war in the borderline. He made it, very assuredly. And also one thing that was really interesting and funny was that he was talking about all the good economic achievement he has made. And one thing he mentioned was that one thing that damages the economic conditions of the United States is a ridiculous partisan investigation. That's very political. And, in foreign policy issues, he focused much about the China, trade war with China, trade issue with China. And also, he made it clear that the U.S. will be withdrawing out from the INF Treaty, Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which has been, struck between two leaders of the former Soviet Union and the United States in the year 1987. I think the major purpose is to have a free leeway to pressure hard on China more. This is a very important chance and opportunity for him to brag about his achievements, and especially, I think it's a good, time for him to talk about the North Korea issues. He talked a lot about achievement that he have made with North Korea. No test, no nuclear test. No war, because he has been talking and negotiating with North Korea. And he made it clear that the summit meeting will be held in Vietnam on February 27th and 8th. I think this is a very good, news-making opportunity for him, I think.
Let's go over the fact that he obviously didn't say where it's going to be exactly yet, and there's much speculation whether it's going to be Hanoi and Da Nang. Those are the two most likely venues. But let's just go over the fact that why Vietnam this time? Last time it was Singapore. And which city do you think it will be, Da Nang or Hanoi?
Vietnam is much closer than Singapore. I think
for North Korea.
Yeah, from the North Korea. Maybe North Korea, Kim Jong-un's aircraft carrier, Chanme, the first. I think possibly can fly to the Vietnam. In case of Singapore, it couldn't, and took the Chinese airplane at the time. Politically, Vietnam is a very important country. It had a war with the United States, but normalized the relationship with the United States. With its socialist regime, economic development has been possible in parallel with socialist political regime, which I think would be a good model for Kim Jong-un and the future of North Korea. So I think it also has a very good relationship with the United States and with North Korea. Maybe from the Kim Jong-un's perspective, I think he will also have a summit meeting, a bilateral summit meeting with Vietnamese leader after he had the summit with President Trump, I think. But about the summit meeting, I think he prefers Hanoi than Da Nang. Hanoi is much closer than Da Nang from North Korea. And also, I think he can, be supported a lot of information and protocol and guard support from the embassy there, North Korean embassy. But we'll see. Da Nang is something, some city that is preferred by the United States. But I think the city itself has been already determined. Maybe they haven't announced it for more political regions or more, propaganda effects, or for the, guard and protocol for Kim Jong-un. I don't know which reason is the right one, but we'll see how it goes. But I think it has been already determined, not just not has been announced yet.
We'll have to see. Now that the date has been announced, the countdown for this summit now begins. It's less than 3 weeks away, and obviously now the focus turns to the negotiations that are going to take place between the two sides. And actually, they're already well underway with the U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, who's in Pyongyang for the last 2 days, holding talks with his North Korean counterparts. What are the key issues they're discussing in Pyongyang right now, do you think?
I think they're now making draft agreement. Some of the things that have been agreed already with some blanks, which needs to be agreed between two countries, and narrowing down the gaps and making the blanks smaller and smaller blanks are the homework for the two representatives, I think. The key issue, I think, is the denuclearization of North Korea and the corresponding measures by the United States. North Korea desperately wants the U.S. to lift the sanctions on North Korea, but there should be substantial denuclearization measures by North Korea for the U.S. to lift the sanctions on North Korea. So even though North Korea has promised that it will stop producing nuclear weapons, it will shut down and destroy Yongbyon facilities, I think the U.S. needs to inspect and verify that. That's, I think, the key issues. How much and what kind of level of inspections and verifications are something the U.S. wants, and what level of verification North Korea is willing to accept. And in response to that, what kinds of sanction lifting is something that North Korea wants, and the U.S. willing to give some kind of sanction lifting to North Korea. I think that's the key issue right now. I mean, they're trying to, make some corresponding deal and talk and make a detailed adjustment about two different, proposals by two countries, I think, in Pyongyang now.
Reports suggest that we might need to temper our expectations towards what comes after the summit. They've suggested that the so-called big deal on denuclearization is not going to happen, and that the two sides will settle for a smaller deal, compromises, step-by-step course. I mean, what the response you've just said in the previous answer, is that the kind of small deal we're going to be looking at, and is that what we should be expecting?
I think it depends upon what kinds of deal is to be struck before the summit meeting, and even on the day of summit meeting, what kind of deal two leaders would come and meet and talk and make. We still don't know which way the deal would be going, but I think it looks very difficult for two countries to make a deal about the denuclearization and the sanction lifting. North Korea is not changing its attitude. After the Kim Jong-un's New Year speech, and afterwards a lot of media in North Korea is saying the same thing, which is that it's now turn of the United States to do something, to lift the sanctions on North Korea. North Korea has done a lot of things already. So the same attitude, same policies towards the United States. The U.S. also keeps the same thing. I mean, unless there is substantial and important, steps and process towards the, denuclearization, FFVD or possibly CVID, there would be no sanction lifting. So I don't think it's easy. I mean, they're trying to, adjust down the differences. Representative Biegun in Pyongyang is, I think, doing that kind of thing. And Kim Hyun-wook, the ambassador in North Korea, who's talking with, Mr. Biegun, he is, nuclear expert. He is the, disarmament expert. I think he knows very well about the details about the inspections and the verifications and all the details. So I think he's the right person to talk with Biegun about all the details. So I think, talk will be a little bit different from the past. I mean, Choi-sun, I think she's the one who has been in charge of the United States, but she's not such a, good nuclear expert. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how detailed, talk will be going.
But if I push you for some sort of would you be willing to make any kind of predictions of what kind of deal will be you think we can expect?
It's not easy. It's not an easy prediction. The thing is that let's assume that they come up with a small deal. What will be the response? I think North Korea has been, desperately wanting a sanction lifted by the United States. And if the small deal, and afterwards, what will be the, responses from the United States domestically? A lot of criticism about Trump. What are you doing? Nothing has been done about denuclearizing North Korea. So, two countries, two leaders are under pressure about making a big deal. We'll see how it goes. It doesn't look very easy, but they're under pressure. So I think possibility is still there.
The last summit between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump in June in Singapore was just a one-day affair. But this time, Trump has confirmed that it's going to be over 2 days. What do you think that tells us about this next summit as well?
I think this time they want to talk more and more than the first meeting. First meeting, the agreement was only about the guidelines. They only met and had a meeting, and Kim Jong-un left quickly. They didn't even have any time to get along with each other. They didn't have dinner together. But I think this time they want to have dinner. They want to be more closer to each other, for the good relationship between two countries. So I think this time it'll be more about the, getting along with some talks for agreement. But at the same time, I think the two leaders will come and talk and more about the narrowing down the gaps. So I think this signifies that the two leaders are under pressure for detailed agreement this time.
And finally, Trump has also said that he'll be meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the end of the month as well for trade talks. That suggests that he could be meeting with Xi Jinping perhaps before or after Vietnam, or even in Vietnam as well. I mean, rumors are flying around. Is there a possibility, do you think, of a possible three-way talk between Trump, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un, and even a four-way talk with South Korea as well, with President Moon maybe?
We don't know yet, because the working level talk is on the way. It has not been determined yet whether the U.S. and North Korea will also talk about and agree about the end of war declaration. But it seems very possible that the dates are pretty much the same, the U.S. North Korea and the U.S. China. So if it is true that they will have declaration of the end of Korean War, I think President Moon Jae-in will definitely go to Vietnam in those dates.
But the chances must be quite low.
Half, I think.
But if South Korean president was to go to, but it seems unlikely. That's such a far step to go for a declaration to end the war.
Well...
it seems very unlikely,
But that, I think, will be included as a small deal between North Korea and the United States. I think from the U.S. perspective, allowing a declaration of end of war to Kim Jong-un is much easier than sanction lifting to Kim Jong-un.
That's all we'll end it. Thank you for coming in today and sharing us your thoughts.
Thank you very much.